Hello there and welcome. I'm Hannah Kirkpatrick and this is your one-stop shop for everything equine. This is Jockey TV. On this week's show, we get to visit the impressive Down stables located in the pretty West Sussex village of Findon. Camilla Henderson gets to chat with current incumbent National Hunt trainer Nick Giffords. The yard is, of course, steeped in racing history, with training greats such as Josh Gifford and, prior to him, Captain Ryan Price, both churning out big race winners. Perhaps for many racing enthusiasts, Josh's name conjures up memories of that unforgettable and emotional 1981 Grand National, where his beloved Alden Eaty took the coveted prize with the heroic Bob Champion on board. Whilst at Down Stables, Camilla caught up with another prodigious talent from the Gifford dynasty in Nick's sister, Tina. Tina, of course, recently wowed a global audience during the London Olympics when gaining a silver medal. This is after winning 2 bronze medals at the Beijing Games. And if that wasn't enough, we also get to visit another Sussex-based racing personality as we pop into jockey Jim Crowley's home base. Finally, there'll be more montage moments, and on this week's show, Camilla Henderson pulls no punches as she seeks to find out a little more about our guests, Jim Crowley, Tom Cannon and Tina Cook. This is well worth a look, as the very modest Tom Cannon considers himself to be something of a David Beckham lookalike. Okay, first up, Camilla asks Nick Gifford about the setup at Down Stable and his hopes for the imminent campaign.
The team here, it's a small knit team. We've got about a dozen staff, and then we've got Andrew Veal, who's been in racing a long time. He's my travelling head lad. And he rides a lot of the youngsters, does all the breaking in. He's a natural at that sort of thing. And then we've got Carol Double, again, worked for Dad for a long time, and she's one of my senior staff. And then Rob, as I say, Rob McDowell's my sort of pupil assistant. Yeah, Rob's a good lad. And then obviously Tina, my sister, comes in and she's sort of like a senior role here, and she looks after those horses that just need a little bit of extra help and extra attention.
And has Tina always had this role in the yard since she started training, or was it more sort of recently?
I think the last few years she's got more involved as her work rate at home has cut down. I mean, Tina used to have about 15 horses. You know, now she's down to about 6. So it gives her more time to come and help out the little niggles that we've got here.
And so I understand she does quite a lot of the schooling, or the horses that need a bit more focus.
Just horses with little aches, a bit stiff, you know, she'll get on them and try and correct those problems without getting vets involved and, you know, that expense. So she's invaluable like that.
So what horses do you have to look forward to in the fast approaching season ahead?
Well, we're a bit light top end, handicappers wise. Hopefully we're hoping that one of the young horses will step up to the mark. I suppose the most obvious one would be David Dunstan's horse Utopian, who was very impressive in his bumper at Fontwell. It's soft ground horse. He's French.
Will he be coming out?
He'll be out. He'll probably aim for one of those EBF qualifiers, maybe Lingfield or Folkestone. That'll be a nice starting point for him. You know, he's not a fast horse, but I think he's got gears and he's got a high cruising speed, so he'd be very exciting. We'd hope he'd step up to the mark. And we've got a few homebreds here. So Christopher Waits has got a nice, generous 4-year-old out of Penrose Bay, who won the mayor's finals, hurdles and fences. So he's got a good pedigree. He's coming along. He might be out hopefully around about Christmas time. And a few other youngsters that again are showing the right signs at home, but they've got to go. Yeah, that's exactly. We all get a bit excited at home sometimes when they do a couple of nice bits of work, but they've got to go and do it on the track.
And a theme that we're focusing on for this week is basically how the financial recent times have affected racing, and I'm talking the money in racing is decreasing. And do you believe the tough financial recent times could affect the ownership side of things?
We certainly noticed it in the ownership side of things, yes, certainly. We're trying to get more racing, we've got a racing club going now, and syndicates and things like that to try and make it more affordable. We've definitely had owners that have reduced their numbers of horses that they've got in training, or some have dropped out altogether because it's just not viable. At least if you went back 15, 20 years ago, a horse might win 1 or 2 races and almost cover its costs. Well, an average horse now has got to win sort of 4 or 5 races to cover its costs, so it does become more difficult. Look, you've got to admire the guys at the top, because, all right, they've got good horses, but what comes with that is an awful lot of pressure, and pressure to deliver at Cheltenham, at Aintree, and to win. So, Paul, obviously your father, the guys that have been in the game a long time, and put up with that sort of pressure, you've got to take your hat off to them.
And what's your most memorable day at the racecourse? Best day?
As a trainer, would have to be either of Strawbear's Grade 1 wins. We probably were fortunate to have him so early in my career, and we miss him now. But he won a fighting 5th first time out, and then obviously that great win in the Christmas hurdle at Kempton. They stand out, but obviously not as a trainer would have to be Aldeniti winning the national. As that was my first trip up to Aintree, aged 9, I think I was. So that was amazing. But we were always looking to.
And do you remember that really well?
Oh, clearly, yeah, very clearly. Yeah, no, it was an amazing day. I didn't really understand how ill Bob had been, and really understand that the injuries that the horse had had at that age. I knew they'd obviously had their problems. But it's only later on in life as you grow up and you realise.
So there's history there because it was my grandfather that came second.
Of course it was, yeah. No, I mean you.
Interlinked.
Yeah, exactly. And you remember the commentary, the famous commentary. It looked like he was going to get to Aldeniti on the run-in. Yeah, it's a great race, and it still is a great race. And I just hope that we don't get any more bad publicity about that race, because it's a wonderful, unique race, and it doesn't need any more.